Recording in progress.
Welcome, 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 one and all. Once we get the mayor in place, we can start. I will call to a semblance of order the West Jordan Council meeting for Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. All 7 council members are present, along with the mayor and council staff and administrative staff, and a whole lot of people. It is sure good to see everybody back in this building, back in this room, as we get back to normalcy here in the city. This is great. Our first item of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance, which is not really an item of business, but it will be led by Lieutenant Bigelow from the police department. I'd like to come on down to the podium. Just come on to the podium.
If you all please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. You may be seated.
Thank you, Lieutenant. And apologize, still pulling up the agenda on my own computer here. Yeah, we did that already. All right. Now we're going to special recognition. Who is leading this? Who do I turn the time over to? Deputy Chief Roberts. Come on down.
Thank you, Council Chair and Council. We're excited to be here tonight to introduce to you all and to present the newest members of our police department and to do a badge pinning. We appreciate the support that we get from the council and from the citizens for the police department that allow us to add to our ranks. We're really excited about this pool. Our strategy is to try and get a group of diverse candidates that come from different backgrounds. Some of these officers come from other agencies and some are brand new. So as they come up, we'll ask for those, as I announce them, those that are doing the pinning to come up. We'll have them line up here on this side and we'll do the pinning all at once. We also have, in addition to the new officers we're adding, we have a couple of promotions that we're recognizing tonight. And so we'll start with those. The first is newly promoted Sergeant Lofgren. He will be pinned by Lieutenant Jenkins from our police department. You guys will come up. Next will be newly promoted Sergeant McMullen, and he will be pinned by his wife, Brittany.
We have him stand on that side just to start with, but yeah. Well, maybe
we'll have our new officer, Adrian Archibek. He comes from us from the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office. He spent several years at the jail. He'll be pinned by his dad, Pat. Next, we'll have Patrick Cullen. He comes from us. He has experience from UHP and from Saratoga Springs, and he'll be pinned by his children, Macy and Witten. Next will be Officer Crystal Grady. She comes from Salt Lake City Police Department, and she will be pinned by her son, Parker. Next will be Tabitha Grant. She's a new graduate of the Police Academy, and she'll be pinned by her mom, Melanie. Next will be Officer Clayton Grow. He's a new graduate of the Academy. He'll be pinned by his wife, Kylie. We have Officer David Hedrick. He has previous experience from the Salt Lake Police Department and the Tooele City Police Department, and he'll be pinned by our Sergeant Taylor. Next will be Cameron Lee. He just recently retired from the Marine Corps and graduated the Police Academy. He'll be pinned by Deputy Chief Bell. Officer Christopher Muse, he has previous experience from the LA County Sheriff's Office, and he'll be pinned by his daughter, Dakota. Next, we have Officer Sabrina Garcia. She has previous experience with the Davis County Sheriff's Office, and she'll be pinned by her husband, Carson. Officer Brian Salmon from the Park City Police Department. He'll be pinned by his wife, Courtney. Make more room. That's a good sign for us. We like that. And then last but not least, we'll have Officer Janika Workman. She's a recent graduate of the academy, and she'll be pinned by her husband, Jaron.
What a group. This is incredible. Wow.
So I'd just like to personally thank these officers for being willing to join our department and join this profession in a time when that's not always an easy thing to do. Also recognize, as represented by those pinning them, that their families will be impacted by this choice, and without their support, none of us could do what we do as police officers. So hopefully everybody has their badges. Hopefully nobody gets hurt doing this. Or maybe some can, I don't know. Go ahead and let's pin these new officers and welcome to the city and to the police department.
Anybody who's in the audience who is taking pictures, feel free to stand up, get the right angle that you need, whatever you need. And we'll sit back here and try not to photobomb too much.
We need to stage some pictures too. We're having to do that.
Yeah, those of you pinning and being pinned, don't sit down. Don't sit down. Stay up here.
Everybody stay up here.
All right, stay up here. We're going to get a couple of pictures with all the new newly pinned pinnies and pinners. Does anybody have a wide enough camera lens to get this whole group? Because that's incredible. Let's have the taller guys come over to the back and the shorter guys and people scoot up to the front.
We just have everyone kind of gather together in the middle there so we can get a group
together
picture.
in the middle here, a couple of rows deep, and we'll get some pictures.
Adrian,
should we just stand up here? I think we just stand here, and the council we'll just stand back here.
1, 2, 3. Anyone else?
Anybody else want pictures while they're here? Feel free.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Well, congratulations and thank you for serving in our city. We appreciate it and our citizens appreciate it. And if there's anything I hear about more than pretty much anything else is please send more officers out to my neighborhood because XYZ. So we got more officers. That's great. This is great. Thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is not nearly as fun for everybody to watch, but you're welcome to stay as long as you like. That would be public comment. This is where we open the meeting up to anybody who'd like to address the council. We're going to give it a minute, let the room clear out, I think. If you're not wanting to comment to the council, we'll give it a minute. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I was just going to wonder if maybe you wait just a minute before you proceed.
we are waiting. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit on this for a minute, let the room clear out. You are all welcome to stay. I want to be clear. You know, you don't have to leave. I hope so. All right, I think the bulk of the clamor has moved out to the other room, so we'll go ahead and open public comment. As I was saying, this is your opportunity to address the city council on pretty much anything having to do with West Jordan, hopefully. You have 3 minutes. We don't typically engage in a back and forth, but if you have specific questions, we will have our staff or the mayor's staff get back to you. Please try and maintain the decorum of the meeting, such as we are restoring it, as it may be. And we'll go ahead and start, and we've got one in the room. Please just give us your name, and the microphones up there are a little temperamental, so try and pick one and talk towards it. Give us your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amy Mata. I live in Salt Lake City and I volunteer for a nonprofit called Bailing Out Benji. Tonight I wanted to explain the major differences between responsible dog breeders and puppy mills. The first is a responsible breeder will screen their breeding dogs for genetic issues, health issues, where animals that are in puppy mills are not screened for that. A responsible breeder will treat their dogs as family pets, where puppy mills house dozens to hundreds of dogs in a commercial building. A responsible breeder will focus on just one breed, and a puppy mill will sell numerous different breeds. Responsible breeders will sell to families directly, where puppy mills will sell to pet stores, puppy brokers, which is a thing, and online websites. And there are other differences, but I want to focus on the genetic testing. So a responsible breeder cares very much about the integrity of the breed and the breed standards, and will not breed a dog that is prone to genetic issues. For example, the Labrador Retriever Club, who doesn't love a lab? The Labrador Retriever Club, in their code of conduct, in part, reads, "The breeder shall screen all breeding stock for heritable diseases and use only those dogs in their breeding program that have received the Orthopedic Foundation for Animals Canine Health Information Center registration for clearance." So they would be clear of hip and elbow dysplasia, clearance for ocular disorders, exercise-induced collapse, which I've never heard of, and D-locus dilute gene DNA evaluation. Responsible breeders don't want to pass these genetic defects onto puppies, so they screen for it and make those reports available to their customers. I want to thank you for your time this evening. And again, I encourage the council to pass a humane pet store ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to address the council? There are a couple. Great. Again, just give us your name.
My name is Heidi Smith, and I would like to protest the way CenturyLink was granted an easement on my private property instead of in the park strip or in the utility easement at the back of our property. This was done without any notice or permission to do so. At first they came and said that they had an easement of 5 feet until Mayor Burton corrected them to 1 foot. Fugal Construction came on our front lawn and dug deep holes, bringing up clay and mixing it with our good soil. They did this without prior notice. They should have been required to talk to us before they dug up our drain lines. They didn't care where the water lines were or the sprinklers, or whether their oversized, ugly pedestals would block the sprinklers. They cut through the neighbors' internet and phone lines. A block away, they damaged the gas lines, and so the police went door to door to tell the people to shelter in place until it was repaired. It wasn't the only time they hit the gas lines. People were told to, if they felt sick or had headaches, to call 911 and get to the hospital. I think the city should have polled the citizens to see if it was even wanted. I don't want them. The vet service is not a good value, and I think things could have happened a lot better, and we should have been informed. And they just walked over everyone in our neighborhood with their equipment, and they've done a lot of damage to our properties. And I think there should be something done about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, come on.
Good evening. My name is Sam Winkler. I'm the Public Engagement Manager for the UDOT 9000 South construction project. I'm just here to give you a quick update of the construction, and then if you have any questions or concerns, obviously I can bring that back to the team. Construction began July 23. It was a late start because of the high river flows. Fortunately, the crews were able to get the parts of the bridge done now before Utah Lake hit their compromise level, which is the first time in 11 years, and they've added about 6 feet of water to the river. But we are moving forward. They're going to be pouring the bridge deck on the north side this next week, and the one on the south side the week after that. And then in a couple months that we should be getting that open, and they'll work in the middle section. Work between the river and Redwood Road has really been consisting of utility relocations. There's a lot of utilities under the ground that people aren't aware of, and there's more than one communications company that runs through there. So they've been working through a lot of those. I just want to pass on a big thank you and appreciation to your city staff on the sewer lines and the water lines that we've run into. So they've done a great job and help us coordinate with a lot of that stuff. So thank you to your city staff on that. This year, it's going to look completely different out there. They're going to, once they get a lot of this utility work done, the roadway surface is going to come out. They're going to be completely removing that roadway surface and replacing it with a new surface. And construction is supposed to wrap up by May of 2025. So we still have a long ways to go. And so here's another shout out to your economic development team. We've been in communication with them. They reach out to us, and they've been in contact with the businesses out there. We know this is never easy for any business construction, but they've been doing a great job getting the information out there. And then with your communications team, we've been giving them information. They've been helping share the word, because as we've had to close roads, or as there's been night work, things like that, that they help give us a message. So there's been a real cooperation between your staff and the project team. So I'd like to thank all your city staff for all that work. And then also a thank you to the police department for the enforcement that's been going on down there. April 15 through 19 is the National Work Zone Safety Week. And it's just to highlight the number of fatalities of construction workers nationwide because of drivers' inattentiveness or speed or things like that. And so we really do appreciate your crews and your officers being out there enforcing that, because it makes a difference between having a higher accident rate and a lower accident rate. When they know there's officers out there, that tends to keep accident rates lower. So I'll drop this off with the staff. This is just a letter from our project manager, just a thank you and kind of an update. And then I've got a letter here of appreciation for the police department also. Do you guys have any questions or anything about the project?
Councilmember Lamb has a.
Just one quick question. What is the completion date for the bridge? I'll cut you off.
Hang on. I got you. There you go.
Yeah, so the first sections of the bridge that they're working on right now, the outside sections, those should be completed by the end of April, beginning of May, and then they have to remove that middle section. The question is they have to do some river diversion to do a lot of that pile driving and clear out the old structure. And we're working with Utah Lake Commission right now on if there's a possibility of slowing the flow through it. We're hoping once irrigation season starts up and a lot of that water is diverted into canals, that will help bring the level down, but there is a lot of diversion. But the bridge itself should be done by November. The reason the project is scheduled through May is they have to do a final asphalt coat on the roadway. But by the time November comes around, it's going to be too cold for that asphalt work, so they have to push that to spring. So there may not be a lot of activity between November and May. So it should wrap up by the end of this year, the majority of it.
Thank you. Good to see you again, Sam.
Okay, good to see you. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Go ahead and come on up.
Hi there, my name is Nathaniel White. I'm a business owner and I would like to purchase, if at all possible, and rezone a piece of land, 1390 West, 9000 South. It's currently zoned as SC1 and SC2. After speaking with Taylor, who's one of the city planners, he was explaining that if we wanted to turn it into an outdoor soccer field, turfed soccer field, we would need to rezone it probably to a CM or PO. Competitive, this would be to service competitive youth soccer clubs. Currently, our competitive youth soccer clubs have to use local parks, which is not conducive with the amount of space that we use up, and we would like to try and ease the pressure that are placed on cities from soccer clubs, soccer coaches showing up with their teams on a first come, first served basis and tearing up your fields, basically. And can we get them onto a turf soccer field that's purpose built for them? Currently, we could put a building on it with the way that it is zoned, but unfortunately, that would mean, after speaking with the fire marshal, heating a 53,000 square feet building in order to make sure that the water pipes don't freeze with a sprinkler system that has to be implemented in anything over 12,000 square feet, which would then mean insulating it, which would then mean cooling it, which would then mean for kids to go in and play soccer for an hour. So I'm interested in purchasing this piece of land, but we would need to rezone it and be able to put an outdoor turf soccer field on there, basically so we can, one, service these competitive youth soccer teams and ease the pressure and the abuse that they're doing to your fields.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room that would like to address the council? All right, I'm not seeing any more in the room. We've got any online, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, Chair. You have Mr. Wilkinson and a attendee with the first name of Alex.
All right, go ahead and let's go to Mr. Wilkinson, if you can get him ready to go. You should be good to go.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, wait.
No, you're good to go.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting some feedback here. Okay. Yeah, so the West Jordan police are incompetent. I'd like to make a request. I mean, I'll go back to that original point. I mean, as recently as today, a couple hours ago, I made a criminal complaint, and the officer made a mistake and misunderstood what I was talking about. And I had to correct her. And this is not the first time. In fact, I'm looking at a police report in front of me right now. And this is happening several times with the West Jordan Police. And in this police report I obtained, it even acknowledges here in writing where this supervisor is speaking about an officer there, and it says he admits people make mistakes. Your officers make mistakes at my expense. And this is, like I said, this is not the first time today this happened. So I do think there's a competence issue. I've made public, or I've filed complaints about specific officers and instances, and I file those online, and I never hear a word. I don't know what happens with them. Probably nothing, because you guys are incompetent. I'm curious. if someone could maybe explain that process to me, tell me where those complaints have gone that I've filed, do they get read, does anything happen? I would just like to know that. On top of that, there's a problem in your community I'd like to make the council and your police force aware of. It's I mean, it's something we all learned when we were 16 or 15 and a half or whatever it is. There's a left lane law in Utah. And there's a lot of state highways, two-lane roads and things. I'm specifically referring to Utah Code 41-6A-704. The left lane in almost any road in the state, and road is defined very loosely, that is solely a passing lane. You should never see brake lights at all in that lane unless you're coming up to a red light. And so when I'm trying to go to work in the morning and there's people going slow, if you ever get passed in the right, if someone passes you on the right, you should just surrender your license and hide in your basement or do whatever. You should not be on the road. And I've seen your officers pass people on the right, the people passing the left lane, they're breaking the law, and they don't do a thing about it. And this robs precious seconds from my life every day. And over a lifetime, we're probably talking hours, maybe days of my life wasted because your cops don't have the wherewithal, probably the knowledge to do anything about it. How about we crack down on this? How about we get these people off the road, shame them, shut them down, save me some precious time. Goodbye.
Thank you for your comments. And there's somebody online named Alex.
He has lowered his hand, so I don't
Okay.
have any other online desiring to speak.
None other online. All right. Any more in the room? Once more. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close citizen comment or public comment and bring this back to reports to the city council. This is for us to report on activities we've been doing. Let's go to Councilmember Green.
So it's actually been a few days, but I had we all got an email from Junior Achievement asking for volunteers to go to Oak Oaker Elementary School and teach for a morning for Junior Achievement in a day. I did that here week before last, and I will tell you that the school teachers, particularly the second grade school teachers in Jordan School District, don't get paid enough. So it was an overall really good experience to be involved with some second graders here, and it tells you how much I pay attention to school names. I was driving to Oaker Elementary and had no idea where I was going. And then I realized it's the one immediately to the south of Constitution Park. And it was like, oh, now I know where I'm going. But it was fun to be involved with those kids. And so just to everybody else, if you get a chance, go back, look at your email, see if they're doing something else in the city at some point in time. And because it really was a good chance to volunteer to interact with some of the kids in our city. And then I will just plug, I think, Mayor, I think we all got an invite to go to Dr. Seuss Day at Heartland Elementary here in a week or two. And if you didn't sign up for that, sign up for that. I think that one's going to be fun too. But that's my report.
Thank you. Any others? Councilmember Shelton.
I had an opportunity to go and visit the fire station, meet with the firefighters. They showed me the ambulance lift that the council approved, was it 2 years ago? And it was incredible. They can lift, I believe, 700 pounds on that gurney. And that's fully extended out away from the ambulance. So that was fun to see that. Then we went to the ULCT, and I'd just like to acknowledge Tawny Barker and her help while we're at ULCT. Just give her depth of knowledge on every bill that's coming up on the Hill, and her help in preserving the health of the city, the powers of the city, and not having them usurped by the state is making real difference. On Saturday, the 24th, we had the legislative roundup at the Holy Cross Jordan Valley Hospital. Got to meet with legislators there. And then yesterday we had the airport information redevelopment open house, and Councilmember Bedore was there with me, and also Mayor Burton was there. And it's good to get out and learn what's happening with the airport and be aware of things there. So that's all my information for today.
Thank you. Any further reports from the council? Councilmember Bedore.
Yeah, I'd like to just little dovetail on what Councilmember Shelton was saying. The airport thing was actually quite fascinating last night. As someone who, as I was going into joining the council, that's what a lot of people were talking to me about, and I wasn't aware of all that was going into it. It was interesting, and I wish that more of the citizens had gone to that event just to get an idea of what is happening, who is in charge of what, and and you find out how little we have in saying some of this. But it was good to talk to. I stayed there quite a while talking to a lot of the citizens, just trying to get them to find ways to make their voices heard. So it was a good open forum that way. Very good to be at. And I'd like to see if maybe they could do that again sometime, and we can try to get more people there. Also earlier, we went to a soft opening of the Grace Company, the old Target, and members of the council were there. I was very excited to see what had been done with the old Target. And my hats off to our staff who did a lot of work to just not fill that with storage, which they could have done and probably done easily, but to put an actual company there, a company with Utah roots, a company that is doing great things, and from all accounts that we were there, a company that was taking good care of their employees and wants to do some good things and help the community. So I'm hoping that citizens who are listening to this and see that will take a chance to go to their actual opening. I can't remember exact date of that, but just go there and just see a company that looks to be doing West Jordan proud.
Thank you. Any further comments, reports? Not seeing any, we'll go to the council office report. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Council. We continue to ramp everything up here. As you notice, the fridges are installed in the break room. We're working on getting the lectern reskinned to match the cabinetry. We've upgraded more technology. We're ordering signs for the wall behind you and other places. So we continue to do all the little details here in the council chambers on the third floor north side, and continue that work. You will also see that we're loading more and more things into PrimeGov as we get projects loaded up, packets assembled, Title I, Title II, the duck ordinance, business licensing, Title 16, 13.8, which will be a work session in March. So a lot of things coming down the pike. And that's our report for the night. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the mayor's report. Mr. Mayor Burton.
Council, it's a pleasure to be here with you again today. Thank you for holding meetings.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so code enforcement continues to do a great job for us. So when code enforcement receives a complaint, they have a goal to visit that complaint within 7 days, calendar days. And this past year, they have achieved that goal by 100%. They're doing a fantastic job getting out and doing that. Also, the amount of administrative law hearings this past year has gone down. That is because now when they go out, instead of just leaving a notice on the door or mailing it to them when they have an issue, they actually knock at the door and talk with the resident. And so they understand what the concerns are and how they can rectify it. And that has increased the compliance a great deal and also makes the relationship between code enforcement and the residents so much better. And also saves us some money because it doesn't have to go to court. And that picture you saw was just some before and afters. There's so many of those. That's just a couple of examples that makes a difference when code enforcement comes out and helps clean things up. Okay, next one. You already talked about the Grace Company. That's a fantastic repurposing of an old store over there on Redwood Road. There's about 100 people there. They have facilities to add additional employees as they continue to grow, which they'll probably do so much better now that they're here in West Jordan. And UTA is continuing to work on the bus service on 5600 West. And that is extremely important because in Utah code, for some reason they put it in there, that they cannot do the additional expansion on Mountain View Corridor until they get the bus line going on 5600 West. So they, as you can see on this, they have making some progress. They have through the final design, and the construction should be beginning next year as they finish up their final design. And the next picture hopefully shows where the stops will be. This will be an express bus, so it won't have as many stops, so it goes quicker because it doesn't stop as often. Do we have a slide for that? Okay. I can email that to you if you'd like to see it.
Mayor, is this kind of like what they've done on 35th South going east and west?
No, 35th South, that one was a rapid transit, and this one went down the middle and had the stations there. This one is an express one, so it'll stay in the outside lanes and use the regular lanes, but it'll have less frequent stops in order to save time. And I'll send that map to you. It goes all the way from Harriman all the way down to the airport, then jogs over and ends up going to Central Station over on 21st South. So it'll cover a good large-sized area. During rush hour times, it'll be 15-minute increments. During off-peak hours, it'll be 30-minute increments.
So the design doesn't include an extra lane, it's just
Correct.
bus stops
Just bus stops.
with like, what's it called, the bus shelters?
Yes, and they will have bus shelters, which will be lighted, and it'll look good. And I talked to them about doing some personalizations on the glass or something to show that they're in West Jordan. For the West Jordan ones anyway, not the out of West Jordan ones. Yeah, we could put West Jordan and Harriman. Okay, and then our first Friday is this week, because Friday is March 1st. I mean, March 1st is Friday. So if you want to come to this, it's going to be some jazz doing Sesame Street. I have no idea how that looks, but all I can think is, okay, they'll do better than I did. So come Friday and enjoy our first concert. The price is right, no charge to those who attend. Our Easter egg is coming up. That'll be March 30th over at the soccer field, the soccer complex. Come, make sure you're there on time, because if you're there 2 minutes late, you've missed it. Even though there's thousands of eggs, it goes quickly. Okay, something else that was real exciting is our Copper Hills High School girls wrestling team took first place in state last week. They've come in second place for several years. They've only existed for 4 years, but this year they got first place. So congratulations to them.
And their coach is a friend of mine. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's right. The picture of the coach was there. That was exciting. Okay. The mayor's office hours are coming back to City Hall. So that'll be good. So the next time, if anyone in the public wants to come and meet with the mayor, please come see me. It will be on, I was hoping to be on the graphic. I could look at that. March 7th from 4 to 6 right here at City Hall. And I met with Jordan School District yesterday, and yesterday the Jordan School District Board approved donating some land over at Heartland Elementary so we can put that pedestrian bridge in over 70th South. One step closer. We're getting there. So that's exciting news there. And I told them that if they didn't want to donate the land, we could just do the bridge and just leave it above the ground. And the kids could just jump off. Okay, we really wouldn't do that, but I did say that. Also, the Jordan School District Board is wanting to meet with the city council on a more regular basis, so you'll be hearing from them as they want to come in and be with us and help increase the lines of communication. And that is my report.
Mayor, I had one more question on the bridge, since I live in that area.
Yes.
Are we building that bridge to specifications because we plan to widen?
Yes.
70th?
So we don't have to replace it when the
Exactly.
street widens. That is
Thank you.
correct. Good question. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor. We'll go to the city administrator's report, city staff, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of items, and then I'd like to have Greg Davenport give you an update from the Public Utilities Department, and Tawny Barker give you an update on legislative items. A couple items from me first. Last week we had our small and tall ball. It was well attended. It sold out very, very quickly, and it's always a very successful event. Very fun to come to. To be honest, I'm a bit sad. My daughters are getting too old for that event and don't want to come anymore. They think they've outgrown it. The move into City Hall is ongoing. Last week, the second floor staff moved in. Currently, the remainder of this week and next week, the first floor staff will move into the building. And next week, we will begin the process of completely removing ourselves from the temporary City Hall and turning that building back over to the state of Utah. We're very grateful to the state who leased us that building for the past almost a year and a half, while we were remodeling this City Hall. It's an ongoing process. You will notice there's still things that need to be completed in this building. It will take some time to wrap all that up. The staff is working very, very hard to make sure that this newly remodeled City Hall is fully functional, but it's ongoing. The staff who have been moved in are working well, and we'll see everybody over here by the end of next week.
Mr. Green, question. Do we plan on doing any sort of official letter or something like that that we can all sign, that we can send to DFCM and the governor?
Oh, that's a great idea. We'd be happy to do that. We've expressed our gratitude a lot, but that's a great idea. We should do something like that. Yes.
I think
They- I mean,
at least I'd be willing to sign. I'm sure we all would be.
yeah.
Given the cheapness of the rent that they charged us and everything else, I think it would be at least some sort of good gesture that we all sign that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We are very grateful to the state of Utah for their help with allowing us to use that building for the past year. Yeah, that's it from me. If I may, I'd like to turn it over to Greg and then to Tawny.
All right, so I'm here to talk about a new city water tank that we're going to be constructing soon. It's a tank in Zone 1. It's at the Salt Lake Community College right next to the Pioneer Cemetery, so we call it the Cemetery Site Tank. This tank will take about 2 years to build, and we think it will start somewhere in April. We had a bid last week on February 20th, and we had 2 bidders for that project. The first bidder was Dry Creek Structures, and their bid was approximately $8.2 million. The other bidder was Gerber Construction, and their bid was $8.8 million approximately. That's within 3% of the engineer's estimate, which was at $7.9 million. The other project that I'd like to update you on, and I believe we'll award that to Dry Creek Structures. We're in the process of getting a contract with them. The other project I wanted to update you on is the 78 South Sewer Project. As you know, that was started in January, the last week in January. A month later, they have laid over 800 feet of sewer, 21-inch sewer, and they have cleared the intersection of 5600 West. They have taken the plates out and put back temporary asphalt. So we've opened up all of the full movement of traffic operations. So if you needed to turn left from 78th onto 56, or if you needed to go through on 56, all those lanes are open so that they can be used again by the public. the whole project is going to have about 2,000 feet of sewer placed in, so we're about 1/3 of the way done with that project. And I'm hoping that when it is done, which the contractor originally thought it would be the last week in June, but I'm willing to bet that he's ahead of schedule, so it might be a little earlier than that. Brian should be starting on his project for the 78 South widening. Any questions?
Good evening. Happy third to last day of the legislative session. I'm going to start with a couple communications things I want to share with you. Hot off the presses today, the city of West Jordan was named number 15 in the safest and most affordable mid to large size cities with Money Geek. Marie and I have been working with some of the financial magazines and trade publications to make sure they're a little bit more aware of our city, and we hope to see more of these designations in the future. So that's a fun new designation that we received earlier today. In fact, it was about 4 o'clock, so haven't even had a chance to tell the mayor. I also wanted to let you know that we've distributed our first summer construction postcard that's gone out to residents about mill and overlay, so that's gone out to affected homes. We'll be following up with additional mailers as well as email and social media campaigns related to that. And we're in the midst of communicating about the return to City Hall, and that has been well received thus far. Just want to give you a heads up that here in the next week or so, we should be sending you an invite to a kickoff for construction on the Arts Center. That should take place in early April. So we're just firming some things up, and we'll be sending you a date on that. Now we get to talk about the fun stuff. And thank you, Councilmember Shelton, for your kind comments. I don't know that I'm as well-read and up to speed as you said, but I appreciate the comments nonetheless. If you go to our bill tracker, you're going to find that I've started highlighting some of our bills on there. So when you see a bill that's highlighted green, that bill has passed. Just to give you an idea of where we're at right now, we have been tracking about 200 bills. The league is tracking about 250 bills. About 50 of those bills don't really apply to our city. And we've passed about 32 bills. So about 17% of the bills that we're tracking have passed the legislature. That tells you two things. There are going to be a lot of bills that don't pass this year, first of all, and second of all, we're really in a horse race at this point, and I anticipate we'll be going till midnight on Friday night. I want to highlight just a few things that have passed, a few things that we're looking forward to passing, and then a few things that we're still. I'm going to use the word arguing, but really we don't argue. We're so kind to each other up there. But I'm going to start with House Bill 36. This is an open bill, and I think this is important to you guys because this is a bill that we, in part, asked Representative Dunnigan to sponsor. He was very kind and has moved forward with it. But what this does is it says that we don't have to notice and open in public meetings when you all are planning or could plan to attend a social event or an event hosted by an outside organization or another agency. Those are not considered public meetings, and we will not need to notice those moving forward. That bill has passed. Senate Bill 51 is another bill that we have worked really hard on, and Brian's been asking for me to do this for about 3 years. So, Brian, 3 years. I don't know. I don't know if that's good or not, but this is the road construction and building limit amendments. And what we've been able to do is we've been able to increase the spending limit that we can construct a road project on. So I believe, and Brian's going to correct me, I think we are about $235,000 for a road project right now. 200. So this bill moves our limit to 350. So anything under 350,000, we're able to complete in-house. And we have a fantastic streets crew. If you haven't had time to spend time over with them at the Public Works building, I highly encourage you to do so. They receive all sorts of awards for the work that they're doing over there. And this will allow them to do more work within the city boundaries. The nice thing about what the language that we had put in this bill is that every year this limit will increase moving forward. It used to be something that people would have had tied to CPI. We actually have tied it to the National Highway Construction funds. And so that gives us a little bit more flexibility, especially here in Utah, where we can accomplish things fairly efficiently and cheaply, because back on the East Coast, they don't. So we're really excited to have that bill in place, and that has passed. Senate Bill 211 is the Generational Water Infrastructure Amendments Bill. I want to talk to you about this a little bit for two reasons. One, it's going to have an impact on our city eventually. And two, because I think it tells you a lot about where our legislature is going. This bill was sponsored by President Adams and Speaker Schultz. So it's very important to the legislature. It sets up a water commission that basically pulls together all of the water suppliers in the state and requires that they look at things like what sort of infrastructure is going to be going in the future, what sort of ERUs are required for each housing unit, and whether it's multifamily or single family or things of that nature. It also is going to look at how quickly we're building, how densely we're building, and it's going to start to look more and more on that. Having said that, I think you can see where this is going. The state legislature is going to be getting more and more involved in our water infrastructure, which I'm happy if that comes with lots of more and more investment in our water infrastructure. I'm not sure that's the direction they're heading, but I think we're going to see it in terms of building. And one of the things that we're seeing, in fact, Greg and I have had a couple discussions about this, is we're seeing they're looking at this and saying, hey, multifamily housing takes less water than a single family house on a quarter-acre lot. So we should be leaning into that a little bit more than we are to solve our housing problems. One of the reasons that this has really come up is partially because the feedback we're giving, which is we can't keep up with our water infrastructure and our road infrastructure and our sewer infrastructure for these buildings and developments that are coming in. So I give you that just because I think this is the first of many, many bills to come in the future. In fact, I think as this commission is set up and starts to get functioning, we're going to start to see things come out during interim sessions. I see this operating very similar to the Commission on Affordable Housing that was put together 2 years ago. And as you're aware, that commission has put together nearly all of the land use bills for the past 2 years. And at this point, we're really negotiating on those during the year. And by the time the legislative session rolls around, these are kind of done deals. They're just moving through the system, which is why we haven't talked a lot about them this year. So just some things that passed. One other thing that passed is HB 90, which is the Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Bill. I think we're going to be able to tap into this. This allows for infrastructure funds that would go to things like trails, trailheads. If we wanted to look at doing something with side-by-sides or something like that in our city, that's where this funding would come into play, and we'll be able to apply through grants with that. You'll remember that we talked about a bill earlier, I think it was earlier this month, I'm forgetting because time flies, that would have capped our ability to apply for state grants. I'm happy to let you know that bill is no longer. That is a dead and done deal, so we don't have to worry about that one. There are 3 funding bills I want to talk about that are funding tools, and the reason I want to talk about them is I think the commentary and the conversations we've been having with our legislators about, hey, provide us with a carrot instead of a stick, have been paying off. And I think these bills represent that. The first is SB 268. It's called the Fizz. You'll learn that most of the bills this year kind of have some sort of drink. There's the fizz and the hops and anyway. So that is a bill that will allow a city to take an existing RDA and develop a new RDA, take that money and put it towards affordable housing. You'll be required to have a certain amount of affordable housing built in that zone, in that first-time home investment zone that functions kind of like an RDA. But then instead of having to reinvest in that same zone, you can take that money and invest it in affordable housing in another place in the city. Now, the challenge for a city like ours with a bill like that, happy to have this tool. The challenge that we'll have is we're already giving up the type of density to our developers that this bill requires. And our developers typically are large enough that they can get better interest rates elsewhere. So it's not as likely that they'll buy into something like this, but it is a tool that we're going to have, and it's something that we could work on smaller developments with. And potentially, as our city grows and we start to do more redevelopment, this may be a tool that becomes more useful for us in the future. The second one is House Bill 572. We've talked a little bit about that. That's the PTIF. That's taking the state treasurer's money, reinvesting that into affordable housing. Again, a really nice tool to have at our fingertips. I don't anticipate that we'll see a lot of builders in our city moving forward with this. The rates that they're anticipating are good, but they're not as good as like, say, an Ivory or a D.R. Horton or a Homes can get through their regular funding resources. I do think this will be very beneficial to some of the smaller cities on the fringe, in the fringe cities along the Wasatch Front, and then in some of the rural communities. And anytime, again, we can have a tool that benefits cities instead of hits us over the head, we're happy for that. The last one is House Bill 488. This is transportation funding modifications. I remind you of this one because this is the bill that will allot money, several $1 million for our Phase 3 on 1300 West. This money, coupled with the federal dollars that we have, if Congress ever passes the 2024 budget, call your congressman, will help us close the gap on that Phase 3. And we are now in a position that we believe we can move forward with that. And talking to Brian, it sounds like we'll be able to complete our construction all the way through on that one by 2027. So happy to have that in place so that we can move forward. Two bills that we're struggling with still, and I'm happy to say we're really only struggling with two at this point in the session because it seems like typically we're fighting it tooth and nail. One is I emailed you about yesterday, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but residential building inspections. You'll remember this allows a developer to secure a third-party inspector when the inspection hasn't been it allows, right now the language says it allows them to get a third-party inspector. We have worked with the bill sponsor. It will now say they'll be able to utilize a third-party inspector after the 3 days, the given 3 days that we have are up to carry out the inspection. We are still working on language that would require it to be randomized. So they don't get to pick their inspector. They have to go with a random inspector assigned by the state. We believe that really maintains the third party or the value of that safety inspection. And then we're still arguing. I'm using that phrase again. We're still talking about the funding. Who pays for those inspections? And how much are those inspections going to cost? That bill did pass out of the Senate. We had 2 senators vote for it, 2 senators vote against it. It is in the House. We have some of our delegation working pretty hard on negotiating on our behalf for those changes. Right now, we're right now at about a 50-50 split. We could see that change if some of those modifications get put into the bill. And maybe we'll just run out of time. The last bill I want to mention to you is one you might not think has a lot to do with our city, but it does. And it's HB 562. It's the Utah Fair Park Area Investment and Restoration District, otherwise known as the baseball bill. This is a challenging bill for several reasons, but I want to run through some of them and why you should be concerned about this. This bill talks about 65 non-contiguous blocks in downtown Salt Lake, and I have to refer to my notes here because it is like 3,000 lines or something like that. It immediately starts collecting multiple tax revenue increments from a variety of sources, including franchise agreements, electrical, telecommunications. It takes a portion of the transient room tax, a portion of car rental, among a number of other things. Why, you might ask, is that a problem? Well, it would start collecting those taxes on May 1st. There is no Major League Baseball team coming to our city on May 1st or signing an agreement on May 1st or probably even on June 1st or August 1st or January 1st of next year, right? And so this allows the state and this commission to start collecting tax increment from the city for money they have budgeted in their general fund budget in May with no commitment of a Major League Baseball team and no commitment for that to be paid back. And that money will be used for private investment. So that's concerning. I see a light on. Do you want me to take questions now?
Are those tax, when you say the city,
Yeah.
are those taxes collected by Salt Lake City or by the state of Utah?
So those taxes are collected by the state of Utah, but
So
right now.
it affects West Jordan citizens, even though we're not getting a ballpark.
Ish, because most of these taxes are Salt Lake City taxes, and so it doesn't affect our revenue stream tremendously. It's the precedent that it sets and the fact that they're coming in and just taking this tax increment that Salt Lake City is counting on with no commitment of a ballpark at all. You know, I've talked to a couple of you about the differences between this bill and the hockey bill. The hockey bill, Salt Lake City likes. Most cities are very supportive of because the tax increment doesn't start until after an NHL team is signed. And it also requires the consent of the city, which this one does not. So the other really challenging thing about this bill that I want to make sure you're aware of is that this also sets a deadline for a land use agreement of December 31st, 2024. What's the problem with that? Well, there's a couple. The landowner currently doesn't own all the land in that 65 contiguous or non-contiguous city blocks. So they're negotiating on behalf of land that they don't really even own right now. And they're asking the city to make concessions on land that isn't owned by them. Plus, I just want you to think about what sort of negotiating power you would have if a landowner was told on December 31st, all control of this land reverts to the commission and you have no control over it. What incentive is there for the landowner to negotiate with you at all and not wait until December 31st and then just do whatever they want the next year? So it's pretty tricky, particularly considering that Salt Lake City's going to have to provide all of the resources and utilities, public safety for this facility. So they're being asked for their tax increment to go to building new homes, new apartment buildings, new hotels, new restaurants that they then won't get the tax increment on. It'll go back into the district. So, you know, I think many of you have been to a ball game downtown, whether it's a Jazz game or a game at the America First Stadium, I don't know what they're calling it, whatever it's called, thing up in Sandy. And you see how many city resources are being put into that. They would be required to put those city resources in with little to no income stream to offset that. So they're going to have to hire more police officers. They're going to have to install more water infrastructure, more power, do easements for more power infrastructure, and they don't get anything out of it. I tell you this because obviously, if someone came in and did this to our city, we'd be really concerned. But the bigger picture that I want you to grasp here is kind of a precedent that's being set where we've had MIDA, we've had the inland port, we now have this Major League Baseball deal. There's a real sense that the state feels very comfortable coming in and taking land use authority from a city. And I think that this is not the last bill of this kind that we've seen. So I think, you know, we've just got to keep our seat at the table. We've got to stay involved in those conversations. But I think that really makes your job as a council hard. And that's why I wanted to review this one with you, is because I think these types of bills impact you more than almost anybody else. So with that, those were the updates I had. I'm happy to review any other bills with you that you might have questions on, or any issues that you've heard of at the legislature, unless it has to do with bathrooms. I don't follow those bills.
I can answer those questions. Councilmember Green.
The inspection bill.
Sorry, Councilmember Whitelock's mic was on first and they're not all hot. So Councilmember Whitelock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did they not take the hotel tax out of the baseball bill? I thought they were doing that.
There have been many negotiations. Another substitute has not dropped. None of this was expected by Salt Lake. There were negotiations before the legislative session that things were agreed to. Those things did not show up in the bill. So until we see bill language, this is what we have.
11:58 Friday. Good luck.
Yes, yeah, probably. That's about right.
They don't ever change anything at 11:58 on a Friday. Oh, wait. Councilmember Green.
The home inspection bill,
Yeah.
although it's not, it seems like that's poor public policy to go down that road. If it were to pass today as written, would it affect us that much because our inspections happen within 24 hours?
I mean, I don't want to speak for Scott, but no, it really wouldn't. Doug and I have spoken about this at length. We completed just under 8,000 inspections this past year. All of those inspections happened within one day. So, and that's kind of been the case for as long as just about anyone can remember. I don't know. Is Scott here? Anyway, I don't know if he would have anything to add to that, but no, I don't think so. And part of the challenge sometimes when we're up on the hill and when we're negotiating is it's very hard when I say to our legislators, hey, don't vote for this bill. It's really bad public policy and here's why. And they come back at me and they say, yeah, but if you're not breaking the law, what's it to you? Well, what it is to me, at least with this bill, is this is the nose in the camel's tent. Home builders have been asking for third-party inspections or for their own inspectors to inspect homes for as long as I've been around. So I think they see this as a first step. So I think that's the first concern. The second concern is I mentioned to you that we're negotiating a lot more outside of the legislative session. The home builders are a part of the land use task force. All asks, all requests are supposed to go through that. So we have time to discuss it and make sure we get it right. They brought this to the legislature late in the session. The bill dropped later in the session. There was no negotiation. So it feels a little bit like bad faith, to be honest with you. Any other questions?
Any other questions legislatively related? I talk to Tanya like every day, so I got all my questions answered.
No one's going to ask me where I'll be on the 12th because I really want you to know that I'll be in Walt Disney World. That's what you do after the Super Bowl of legislative sessions.
Why are you waiting so long?
I got to get a week to get my feet back under me, you know.
Do you want to go stand in line?
I do. And I want to pay a lot of money for it, Chad. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions and feel free to refer to the tracker for things as they pass. I'll be keeping that as up to date as I can. I'm sure there are already things that have passed this afternoon that I missed. So thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you. I believe that's it from the staff report. Is that correct? All right, well, moving along then. Next item on the agenda is a report from the Cultural Arts Society. This is their annual report as stipulated in their contract and stuff. Come on up.
Awesome. My name is Janessa Kimball. I am the Executive Director for the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan. I wanted to give just like a brief overview on the Cultural Arts Society. It was originally the West Jordan Arts Council and was actually a part of the city in 2019. We were asked to kind of split off and become our own nonprofit, which came to be the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan. So had an incredibly fantastic relationship with West Jordan. Grateful for that and excited to give you our annual report as well as our application for this next fiscal year. So do y'all have our presentation? Perfect. Okay. So like I'd mentioned, we'll start with our agenda.
Is there a PowerPoint for this, Alan?
I didn't receive a PowerPoint.
Is there? Oh, in the packet. Okay.
The report in the packet.
There is something in the packet. I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll just go through that. Does that work? Okay, perfect. So we'll start with our 2022 annual report. So a couple things that we'll hit on is just the mission of the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan. We'll talk through the community impact, and then we'll touch on the financials. So our mission for the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan is to promote a rich cultural life for West Jordan residents, promoting and sustaining visual, performing, and literary arts in our community. So again, I'll kind of skim through a lot of this. If there any point in time you're like wanting me to dive in a little bit more or ask questions, please stop me. But for the sake of time, I'll kind of skim. So our vision again is to create programs for the residents of West Jordan to come and enjoy, but also for musicians, artists, writers to be able to come and participate in those things. So our programs that are sponsored by the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan are West Jordan Concert Band, Symphony, Jazz Band, Visual Arts, Literary Arts, Sugar Factory Playhouse, West Jordan Youth Theater, and we also have 3 partners, which are the West Jordan Senior Band, Lyrical Opera Theater, and Mountain West Chorale that we partner with on various different programs and using of our space. I wanted to hit on a couple of what I see as our biggest accomplishments for 2023. So like I'd mentioned, we're a relatively newer organization. We're learning a lot about being a fiscally responsible group, how to grow and all of those things. And a lot of the recommendations that you all have shared with us, we've been doing our best to implement. So some of our accomplishments, like I'd mentioned, one is our first Art in the Park, which was here over at Veterans Memorial Park. And was a huge success. I think obviously we'll continue to see that grow as time goes along, but it was really exciting to see so many local artists come and do booths. We had a ton of musicians performing as well, and it was really cool to see so many residents in West Jordan kind of passing through. We hosted our first fundraiser, which is a learning experience where, again, we're learning and growing on that front, but are excited to have another one this upcoming year. We also locked down the Caswich Corner, which is our new rehearsal space, which has been a huge accomplishment for us and is allowing for our groups to grow. In previous years, when the City Hall had shut down, we were kind of homeless, and we had people. Some of our groups were practicing in churches. We had people. Our jazz band was practicing in our director's garage. Like it was rough. It was a rough couple of years, or like year and a half. And so we were excited to have our own rehearsal space that's located on 7879 South, 1530 West. So just really close over here. And so it's been really exciting to be able to have that space be really consistent. We're now able to do a lot of additional classes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward. We outgrew the Viridian for our Messiah Sing-Along, which is a concert put on by the Mountain West Chorale and Symphony in December. We actually had to have people reserve free seats because there was just standing room only the previous year. We've expanded our board of directors, so we've gone from 4 to 7, and that's been really beneficial for us to bring in some really strong members to give additional insights, foster a network, and it's been great to have them on board. We've been campaigning and reaching out to 600 businesses all throughout Utah for different sponsorship opportunities. And then we've been also doing extensive grant outreach for both like private groups as well as government grants. On the next page, you can see some pictures of the Caswich Corner, which again, we're really excited and proud of. And then you'll see two visuals for the Art in the Park and the Community Talent Showcase, which was our fundraiser that happened in November of 2022. So quickly just summarizing some of our different events. Again, I'll skim through these, but you can see all of the different programs that were put on by our different organizations. And again, I think what you'll really see in looking through these different programs is that there's something for everyone, which is a big push and mission for us. What that list doesn't show is, what I'm seeing is some of the bigger impact is the people that are participating in the programs as a whole. So we're, as an organization, offering 450 opportunities for people to enjoy the art each year, with an estimated 1,112 hours available for people to participate in rehearsals, class, or performance. So again, there's tons of opportunities for everyone of all ages and all different preferences to be able to come and participate in our different programs. What our hope is now is to better market those opportunities so people can come and join and attend those. So now we'll talk a little bit about the community impact. So in-kind donations, 832,261 in different volunteer hours. Our West Jordan Concert Band is comprised of 44% people who live in West Jordan and approximately 840 performance attendees. Symphony is made up of 53% West Jordan residents with 1,750 attendees. Just going to ramble off a whole bunch of numbers. Feel free to stop me at any point. West Jordan Jazz Band is 55% West Jordan residents and 580 attendees. Visual Arts is 69% West Jordan residents and 900 performance attendees. Sugar Factory Playhouse is 46% West Jordan residents, 2,819 performance attendees. Youth Theater is 21% West Jordan residents and 2,659 performance attendees. Senior Band is 75% and 1,020 performance attendees with a grand total of 50.2% West Jordan residents and 11,663 performance attendees. Again, we're hoping as we continue to expand our outreach and hopefully partner with you guys on some of those marketing things as well to make our programs and West Jordan residents more aware. That was one thing that the council had asked, is to really push that within West Jordan, and we're going to continue to work towards that. But it's been great to have a lot of participants in surrounding areas as well to help enhance our programs. So next we'll go to our financials. Again, we'll kind of just skim through a little bit, but we had budgeted $52,000 in program service revenue, and our actual was $58,375. Yes, actually ended up making more than we had anticipated, which is always a great thing. Our other public contributions were from various other grants that we had earned, and private contributions at $5,296. So we're able to stay pretty close to our budget in the revenue section. And then on the expenses side, you'll see that we ended up spending quite a bit less than we had anticipated in our budget. The main reason for that, and you'll see that in our actual report, I've got a much more extensive budget narrative, is our funding from West Jordan City. We didn't actually get until the very, very end of our fiscal year. So we didn't know if we could plan on that or not. And so we actually really scaled back our programs and initiatives just to make sure that we weren't tapping into our savings too much. So with us really being in a growth, we're really pushing growth this year and expansion of our programs, you'll see that in our application for this next year that there's an increase there. Any questions on the kind of report side for our previous fiscal year before I dive into the application?
Councilmember Whitelock.
Thank you. First, Janessa, I want to thank you for the report. It's good. It gives us lots of information, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I did notice in your upcoming performances that the senior band isn't listed there, but you're still planning on them.
Correct. So they've actually shifted back to, they wanted to resume working with the county senior center.
Okay.
And so to do that, they could no longer be a part of our nonprofit to be able to do their practices and use that there.
So they won't be a part
So
of
they
you.
won't be a part, yeah.
So what will that do to your number? Because you're pretty close at 50-50,
Yeah.
but their percentage is pretty high. So I think when you add that in, I think your percentage of West Jordan residents is going to go down a fair amount.
Yeah.
So you'll be below 50%. So my question for you is, what did you do in the past year to try to get more West Jordan residents, especially youth theater? There's very small participation from residents. So what did you do and what are you planning on doing?
Yeah, I think the main thing we've been doing is just with our marketing outreach through email campaigns and things along those lines. One thing that we're hoping to do, and got our lovely board member here, who's kind of leading out on this for the visual arts group, is connecting with some of our local schools to do some marketing much more locally. And that's something that we would love any ideas that you guys have on how to better reach West Jordan residents as a whole. We were partnering with Marie for like the visual arts group and actually putting up signs all around West Jordan and wherever they're placed on the, I don't know the address, but we got permission to actually promote our event for visual arts there. But that's something that we as a board are actively working towards doing. So I don't have an answer for you right now, but as we come up with those ideas, I'd love to share
So we have 2 libraries and they sometimes let you post.
Okay.
And then we have several Facebook groups that maybe you could look at posting your stuff there. Some of them are public, some aren't, but maybe you could do that. Again, thank you for your report.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions or things for the council? Thank you so much for that report. That was great.
Awesome. And are you good if I dive into the application now? We'll take a
Yes.
conversation pivot. Okay. So this is for our upcoming fiscal year. So July 1, 2024 through June 31 of 2025. Wanted to touch on a couple of the things that we're actively working on now, but will really be a push in the next fiscal year. We're implementing a new data and ticketing system for enhanced marketing and outreach. That's going to give us really strong access to knowing how many actual like performance attendees are within West Jordan. So we're really excited to have better access to that data. It's also going to help us build our database so we'll be able to market to those groups. Because the majority of our programs are free, we're not able to really see who's coming to those. The majority of our programs will continue to be free, but we'll have people kind of book free seats through our ticketing system. So we'll be able to have better access to that. We'll be utilizing the Caswich Corner for free visual arts class monthlies. Our Writers Guild meetings will be starting up as well as theater workshops. So we're excited to start offering free classes to the community to come and learn those different skills. The visual arts display in City Hall. I believe we're getting a lockdown date on getting some artists going here pretty soon. We're also hoping to begin sub-granting for our partners in local arts groups. That's one thing that we've kind of been working through currently with the Mountain West Chorale. Because they had an agreement previously with the city, it's been a little wishy-washy of who's going to fulfill that side of the agreement, which was providing a storage space for them, as well as paying for a performance that they do each April, their spring concert. And so they've come to us asking for support and paying for those things, assuming that we're honoring that city commitment. And so we've been kind of coordinating and working back and forth with them on that. As well as we would love to, again, I think it would help with our outreach and connections to local arts groups to be able to say we're doing small sub-granting opportunities. So we've applied to a grant from the state of Utah that would allow us to be able to do that. The next is we're having board goal and data tracking. So we're meeting bi-monthly as a board and really actively tracking our goals and metrics in there. Each of our groups, we've implemented program evaluation, data, and budget approvals. So each group at the end of the year is having to submit kind of a review and their information and that data again, so that as part of our grants and our reports to you all, we're going to have much more accurate data. We've also created a strategic plan and sponsorship pitch deck that we've been using as we've been doing our business and grant outreach. And then last but not least, we've also launched a Caswich Insiders and Insider Elite program, which is an ongoing fundraiser that basically will give people early access to events, tickets, and they get a little badge and all that fun stuff. So again, just trying to really be creative in the way that we're bringing in additional funding. Which takes us to our 2024 and through June 2025 budget. As we go through this, you'll notice our request is increased for our West Jordan grant. The main reason for that being additional expenses for the Caswich Corner. The royalty fees have gone up extensively, so our cost for doing these programs is a lot more expensive for our theater groups. And so we'll dive into that a little bit more, but our program revenue at 53,000, earned income, so that's like our concessions and things along those lines, is 6,500. Again, that West Jordan Arts Grant, we're applying for that 75,000. Our Salt Lake City ZAP grant is locked in. We're expecting 15,000, but we're going to be applying for additional because we're doing financial audits. We'll be able to apply for more than 15,000. So that's something that we're hoping, but again, don't want to plan on that until we know what to expect there. Our Utah Arts and Museum is locked in for the next 2 years. We were a little disappointed. We'd applied for 40,000 and got the same amount that we've received the last several years of that 2,000 amount. We're hoping for 7,500 in private contributions. That's things like the Caswich Insiders program. And then other revenue is 17,884 to kind of close that gap. That's where we're looking for those business sponsorships, additional grants, and things along those lines. As we look to our expenses, for the most part, our expenses have stayed the same. The two biggest increases is our royalties and fees. Like I mentioned, we've seen a really big increase on that for our theater groups. And then the next is facilities, obviously with our lease for the Caswich Corner. Also for our West Jordan Jazz Band, they've actually already outgrown, they've grown extensively and have 75 participants, and they're at capacity for our space. And so they're renting a local middle school. So that's that larger increase there. Other than that, for the most part, there's a small increase just for inflation on the other items of our budget. Any questions on the financial side?
Looks like we do have a couple of questions. Let's go to Councilmember Shelton first.
Thank you. My question is on your other expenses, the software and subscriptions. What portion of that is ongoing and what portion of it is a one-time expense?
Most of that's all reoccurring. So it's like our email software, our like website fees, our processing fees, and things along those lines.
Councilmember Green.
This will be more directed towards the city legal staff. She mentioned about the Choral Society and them fulfilling a contract that the Choral Society had with the city. My question is, when the Cultural Arts Society was spun off from the West Jordan Arts Council, West Jordan City, and created a new entity, were they required to step in and do that? Or is that still a contractual agreement with West Jordan City that is different? I'm a little bit concerned with this sub-granting stuff. And if there's some interpretation on this contract, and we've got a couple of months as we work on the budget to figure it out, but I would like to figure that out, that who stepped in the place of who, or if we divested ourselves. I mean, if it was with the was the contract with the city, contract with Cultural Arts Society, who's in privity a contract here, and who's, you know where I'm going with that? To take a look at that contract so that we know who's really contractually obligated to the chorale people. Yeah.
I would need to do some research to get on there, but my memory serves me. The way it happened is they were part of the city organization. They would apply through the committee to the city, then the city would go send it back in through there. So when we separated it out, and they come to that organization now, because that's who they went through before to do that. So we didn't separate them in our mind. So we don't have a contract with them per se, and they just kind of worked through the arts committee to get their funding prior to them separating from the city.
Yeah.
So let us do a little research and see how that
I think
works.
we need to take a look at that to see where we're going. I'm concerned, honestly, I'm concerned of a 25% increase in the budget. So that concerns me, and so I want to take a look and see what we're doing here to where we're really going.
Yeah, well, the 25% increase in the budget, in my mind, I think we were getting a lot for a lot less, and they're bringing the budget up to comply with what we're actually getting in return, because what we got in return is way beyond what we could.
That discussion is actually, let's talk about the application for this point, and there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about that line item in the budget going forward, so.
Thank you. So next is a breakdown of our various different events. I included our weekly rehearsal schedule. Again, like I had mentioned in our report, we're reporting on our performances, which is fantastic. But when I think one of the most beneficial things that we're offering is the opportunity for people to come in weekly and get to really engage with the arts. So as we look at this, you'll notice we have the visual arts display, the free classes, our youth theater groups, and then the literary arts writers guild that is all new. And then again, typically this is following our traditional schedule for all of our various events that we're doing. Any questions on that? I won't go line item by line item. Okay. And again, just want to mention that we're looking at this next fiscal year, offering 468 opportunities for rehearsal class, just opportunities for West Jordan residents to engage with the arts. And yeah, any other specific questions?
Any more questions for Caswich? I like that.
Caswich, yeah.
I like that. Remind me real quick, this new facility, where is it at? You said on 78 South?
I am horrible with directions, so I wrote down at 7879 South, 1530 West.
Okay.
So
I live in that area, so.
It's over behind the school district in the little industrial-ish area over there.
The owners have done a lot of kind of remodeling of that space, and so it's looking great. So.
Awesome. Have to go stop in and check it out. All right.
Please,
Any other questions? Thank you for that very thorough report. I much appreciated it. It's definitely more than we've ever had before.
Thank you. We're trying. We're getting there. Appreciate
awesome.
you all.
Thank you. All right. Moving right along on the agenda, our next item is our public hearings. And item 6A is considering Resolution 24-005, amending the consolidated fee schedule. And it looks like we have Mrs. Denise Deck to
Thank you, Council.
introduce this.
We're bringing this resolution to you to amend the consolidated fee schedule. The primary reason we brought it to you is because the road construction season is starting, and we'd like to add or increase the fees for road closures and road obstructions, specific to some issues that we have had over the last few months prior to winter hitting. And so Brian has calculated some fees. He's tested them against other communities as well. These fees are meant to incentivize the construction companies to stay out of the way of traffic as much as possible, and to do it within a timely manner. And then the second fee that we are bringing before you is to increase the passport photo fee. We have done a survey of other passport issuing agencies and other photo services, and this fee is in line with them, as well as recovering the cost. We've done a cost analysis on this, and the cost of taking the photos is about $12. Right now we're charging $10, and we're proposing $15 because this is an optional service, and that is in line with what other places are charging as well. The other thing about this is that we get about 50% of the photos that people go somewhere else for, that they bring in, and they don't work. They don't meet the requirements. And so they're having to pay again in our passport office to have a photo taken another time. So we really incentivize and encourage the passport appointments to have their photo taken at our facility because we can guarantee the quality of the photo. And we do see a lot of other facilities that don't do the same quality work that we do. So we invest a lot in the passport office. We built a special area in at City Hall. We have painted a wall of special white because that's the only white that the passport office will approve or the State Department will approve. We have bought special equipment to support passport photos of infants, which are very difficult to take. And we have bought special lighting as well. So we've made sure that our passport office is top of the line in providing a quality product. So are there questions about any of these fees that are being proposed to you?
Looks like we do have some questions. We'll go first to Councilmember Lamb.
Just a clarification on the cost for the passport photo. So that cost, the $12 or $15 in this case, does that cover the cost of the employee and the cost of technology? Is that where that comes from?
That's exactly what it's for. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
And then is the new passport office open?
It will be open Saturday for its first appointment.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm busy Saturday. Let's go to Councilmember Whitelock.
Thank you. A couple of things. I think that the post office is now going to try to be competing because there was a sign on the door today that said that they have some, now they have some, you can just walk in slots.
Oh.
So I thought that was interesting. Just as a general rule, I'm okay for us to capture what it's costing us. I don't really think our job is to be competitive with free market. I think our job is to capture what the actual cost is to us. And maybe this one is for Mr. Clegg, but on the street closure, I am fully in favor of that we make sure that it is the right price so that we don't have episodes of streets being left closed because it's not that much money for that corporation or whatever. But how does this affect, is there any time where an individual homeowner would have to apply for this?
Usually not, because they're not working in our roads.
Okay.
Yes, I can't think of a time.
So like if my sewer line broke, I wouldn't have to get into the road because from the road to in is your problem.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councilmember Green.
Just this is more of a technical question. Generally, when we pass the consolidated fee schedule, it's part of the budget, which we pass by ordinance.
Correct.
So why are we doing a resolution to amend the consolidated fee schedule when we normally do that in an ordinance?
I asked Josh that exact question. Do you need me to pull up the conversation?
That might be helpful. I don't remember off the top of my head. I do
can.
remember we looked at the state statute, and as I recall it, actually in the statute called out resolution rather than ordinance. I do recognize that in the city we have some precedent for doing it by ordinance and by doing it by resolution. As I recall, it's 10-3-700 something.
Okay, so when Josh sent me, I found the chat. When I asked Josh the question, because we have adopted like amended schedules under resolutions and the original budget under the ordinance. And so he looked up the code, and the purpose of resolutions is in 10-3-717 says, unless otherwise required by law, the governing body may exercise all administrative powers by resolution, including establishing sewer and water rates, establishing charges for garbage collection and fees charged for municipal services, establishing personnel policy and guidelines, regulating the use and operation of municipal property, and not impose a punishment, fine, or forfeiture. And so Josh felt like it fell within the fees charged for municipal services. It's so confusing. I have to ask every time, and Cindy does the same thing.
That's why I'm asking. And so, I mean, the question for me as we're in the budget season, if 10-3-717 says resolution, then should the consolidated fee schedule actually be included in the budget? It should be separate. So it's just a question because that says resolution there. It was clear that you read that.
Yeah.
So I'm just, it's just one of those things that as we look
I think
around.
that probably this year we might I'm trying to think if I'll have to review the fee schedule, because if there's anything that falls outside of maybe that definition, otherwise I believe we could adopt the fee schedule by resolution and the water and sewer rates by resolution, and then the actual budget by ordinance, because the actual budget includes the property tax rate and property tax level, which the mayor has the authority to veto if he so would choose. That would be his only veto power. All the other fees are all charges for municipal services.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's interesting that if it's done by resolution, the mayor doesn't have veto authority on us setting fees.
super
That's
interesting, isn't it?
It's really interesting. So that's why I'm asking is just as we proceed down the road, then.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking, though, Councilmember Green. Believe me, Cindy Quick or Ms. Quick and I ask almost every time. We're like, resolution or ordinance. So we both put it in our notes that we're just going to come to you with resolutions for this consolidated fee schedule adoptions in the future. And we don't have to worry about the challenge.
Thank you, Councilmember Shelton.
I'm just curious, it really has no bearing on anything, but on the passports, do you do passports photos for other countries or just USA passports?
They're for any passport that we issue. So when anyone comes into the passport office, if they have a passport from another country, we may issue it, but we don't give it to, or we may take their picture, but we don't issue it. We're only authorized to issue US passports by the Department of State, but we can take the pictures.
You can't take a photo for, say, a Canadian national for their Canadian passport?
We can.
Interesting, okay. Because they're very different technical specifications.
They are. We won't guarantee them like we will guarantee our US photos.
Right.
But we will tell you that they are of the highest quality and they would pass the US Department of State test. So I guess if somebody wants to try that.
Just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
And if I want to update my modeling headshot, never mind. All right. I'll go to
I don't know about mug shots.
I'll go to Ken for that. No, I said headshots. My modeling.
Yeah, I don't know if they're that good either.
Councilmember Whitelock.
I would like to move to approve resolution.
Oh, we got to have a public hearing.
Oh, we haven't had public hearing.
All right. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. We'll come to you shortly. All right. This is a notice public hearing, so we will open this up for anyone from the public who'd like to speak to the amendments to the consolidated fee schedule. Now is your opportunity. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to that? I'm not seeing any hands go up from the 7 or 8 hands that are in the room. Anybody online, Mr. Anderson?
No one online has raised their hand, Chair.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring that back to the council. Councilmember Whitelock.
I'd like to move to approve resolution 24005. No, yes.
Yep.
Amending the consolidated fee schedule.
And I will second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Whitelock, seconded by Councilmember Bloom. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's have a vote. Roll call style.
Councilmember Bloom.
Yes.
Vice Chair Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock.
Yes.
Chair Jacob.
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton.
Yes.
Councilmember Bador.
Yes.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 7-0.
Excellent, thank you. We are now moving to the next public hearing on the agenda. This is Resolution 24-008, requesting the City Council waive dumpster rental fees in the amount of $825 for a neighborhood cleanup day. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Council. Miss Jennifer Andelin, who's conducted a neighborhood cleanup day in the Brown Meadows neighborhood, is coming back to the council requesting a fee waiver in the amount of $825. How that is calculated is there are 11 residents in her neighborhood who have requested a dumpster from Public Works, and that process is going to be completed. Normally, this would not come to the council except for the fee waiver. This last budget cycle, the council approved an increase of the dumpsters to $75 a dumpster and to subsidize the balance of $182.56. The request is for 11 dumpsters. 11 times 75 is 825. So the request for you is to waive $825. State law does not allow you to waive fees if it's in excess of 1% of the budget. The budget is, when you don't do the transfers in, is 68,400,000. So that means you're limited at fee waivers at 684,000, and you're not close to that. So you would be within all the parameters.
Sure you don't want any more dumpsters? I mean, we got up to 64, never mind.
And I will say Miss Andelin is here if you have any questions for her. This is about the 15th year. She has in a report that you have in your packet, she has about 100 plus people show up. They provide breakfast to all the volunteers. And of course, every year she has invited council members to participate. The event, I believe, is May 18th. May 18th, Saturday, May 18th. So anyway, that's what's before you. This fee waiver does require a public hearing, and so that's why we're here tonight.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions for staff before we open the public hearing? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone who'd like to speak to this item, the time is now yours.
I'm just here to answer questions if you have any.
Understood.
Take more time.
All right, seeing nobody coming up for the public hearing, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council. Councilmember Lamb.
Chair, if I may jump in real quick.
Councilmember Anderson.
There is no one online who has raised their hand to speak.
Thank you. I should have asked. Okay, thank you, Council Director Anderson. Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you. I think this is a great thing. Jennifer Andelin, I've known you for a few years now, and I know this is a great thing for your neighborhood, and I am going to be voting yes tonight. I don't know if that matters at this point, but I did want to just, put this in front of the city council that we don't get this request very often, besides Jennifer and her group. I think only one other group's requested it, and it's it's where Trish lives, Trish Hatch.
Oh.
They've requested, garbage or dumpsters down there. I just want to be careful, in the future, this doesn't snowball because there are costs involved, obviously. And we all remember that before the current $50 per household, it used to be free, after our taxes were paid. But, just as we look at this, hopefully it doesn't snowball too bad and we don't see thousands of requests of free dumpsters like this. But I think this is a great thing for her neighborhood, and I'm excited for them to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think if we have thousands of people wanting to clean up their neighborhoods to this extent, that might not be a bad thing. Councilmember Bador.
I would just like to point out, since this will be going on in my district, please remind me of that. So I put a little note in my calendar, but please make sure that I know about it. I'd love to come and be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bloom.
Well, if there's no other comments, I'd like to make a motion.
That's in order.
All right, I move to approve resolution number 24-008, requesting the city council waive dumpster rental fees in the amount of $825 for a neighborhood cleanup day.
And I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Bloom, seconded by Councilmember Green. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Bador,
Yes.
Chair Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent items. Councilmember Green.
I'm going to move to approve consent items, which is the minutes from February 14th.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Green, seconded by Councilmember Whitelock. Discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Rule that motion passes unanimously.
And I'm going to move to adjourn and go to the RDA meeting.
A motion to adjourn